Welcome, Kati, to the afternoon session. It's just you today. If you want to have a little check-in, and then we'll go into some meditation. Well, actually, we'll discuss the quote, I think. So I missed out on it. Yes. And we'll discuss the quote briefly, then go into meditation, and I'll guide you through the lesson and the meditation. And we'll discuss the lesson afterwards. So anything to check in on?
Yeah, what I told you about.
You're feeling a little bit anxious?
Yeah. And just right now I remember I think I read in Yogananda's book Autobiography of a Yogi. I didn't know if he was at the university studying philosophy. And then he got guided.
I think I recall he was, yeah. I think he did go to university.
Yeah, because it was I think it was, if I remember it right, it was like, yeah, if he's doing that in America, they will respect him because now he's like, he can use his mind. He's not like a hippy dippy guru. It's like he has brain.
So
he can vibrate on level 400.
Yeah.
If he wants to.
Yeah, well, philosophy leads you into spirituality. I mean, this Course in Miracles is really, the text especially is philosophy. He's giving you a philosophy of life and an explanation. In fact, the only explanation that for me makes any sense of why we're here, how this came about. That's what philosophers ask. Well, why? Well, philosophers ask why, scientists ask how. And the why is more interesting than how. So, how the universe came about. Well, yes, okay, that once they accept the first so-called miracle, unexplainable instance of all this energy and the Big Bang coming into manifestation from nowhere, then they go into how mode for the rest of the time. But you should pause and back up and ask yourself why, because that's the key. Why? So why did that happen? And why are we here? Why any of this? That's a philosophical question, but that makes scientists nervous because it takes them out of their domain. It's not the how anymore. They're not mechanics of the universe. It's now philosophers ask the question why, and well, no one is actually more qualified than anyone else to ask why, because there's no objective proof of why. It's you're into the domain of ideas and concepts and theories and speculation. Scientists prefer to deal with facts, but in the end, you have to, if you understand the facts of the case. Okay, this is what happened for the universe to come into its current state. It still begs the question, well, why then? So, as a philosopher, it's the highest calling, really. Why any of this? Why are we here? Why are we human? Why do we exist? And to find answers to that is the philosopher's quest, the philosopher's stone. In Harry Potter, philosopher's stone is like the that will give eternal life, if you recall, in Harry Potter. I don't know if you've read the books or watched the movies. The philosopher's stone is like the key to eternal life, and because it's the knowledge of what's true. It's the knowledge of truth. So those are my thoughts on that. I think you pretty you know the course principles in terms of any outcome in form to your thesis. If you've still got work to do, then just okay. I'm just gonna do the work to my best. I'm gonna be present to each word, each sentence, and just allow the spirit to guide that. And if you do, then you'll find it just flows. You get it done in time, and you submit it and you go, right, I'm releasing it. I've done my best. It's quite a sense of relief. The moment you send that email, it's like, right, that's it. I've done my best. I let go of outcome. It will be what it will be. And, you go to sleep in the knowledge that all is well. It's going to be fine.
All is every moment well.
Yeah.
And nothing else is true. So, and okay, and still I have to do my function here.
Yeah.
Like going back again.
But be in the world, but not of it. So in the world is you do your function and you submit your thesis and you give your best. Not being of the world is to say, don't allow that thought to stress you, to create any anxiety.
Right now, I'm making excuses like, yeah, I don't want to, like, I thought enough for my life, so I just am starting to experience, like, having, like, yesterday I was in a session where we were like, it was healing energy boost, and we were opening to higher, like, Christ beings, and I felt so high. And I was like, wow, I didn't want, it is no, like, I just want to sit here and stare at the wall. It was nice. And I was happy. It was like, yeah, this is what I want to experience more. I don't need, so, like, talking about, like, these hard stuff, like reading philosophy, and then brain, like, I'm feeling like my brain is get hurt when so much stuff I have to take in. And I'm not the only one who's experiencing that. And I thought, yeah, just now I'm just finishing it and giving it over, because I don't feel that I have a purpose to do that any longer.
Yeah. I mean, do you know David Hoffmeister's story?
He's also studying philosophy, yes.
Well, yeah, he actually studied urban planning, of all things. He was doing a master's or a PhD in urban planning. Like town planning, that kind of stuff. And he done like 10 years. I mean, he was like a dedicated student, a good student, like 10 years. And he was in this like elite program where, he's going to get his master's, and there's like only a few students in the program. And then he's starting to get into the course, and he's just kind of going, why am I doing this? And like initially he had a lot of resistance to that, because it was like, well, he's got 10 years of study and he's in the program, and his professors are going to be really upset if he leaves. And so like he resisted the idea that he would just walk away and let it go for a few days. And then finally he's just like, I have to do this. So he walks into the professor's office, and the two kind of chief guys, the professors who are running the program, are there. And he just says, look, I'm dropping out the program. Sorry, I can't do this anymore. And he said the professor got so angry. He's like, you're red in the face. How can you do this? This is an elite program. How can you do this to us? You're like our best student, all this stuff. And he said he just kind of faced it. And then he left after, but he felt relief. He was like, that was absolutely the right thing. I didn't want to do that anymore. It was not my path anymore. Even though I'd done it for 10 years, it doesn't matter. You can walk away. Just walk away from it and say, well, it's all been necessary to bring me to this point. Nothing's wasted, but this doesn't feel right for me anymore. So I walk away. But for you, it sounds like you're finishing your master's, so submit it, and then be like, okay, well, maybe that's it. It's end of studying, because what you really, yeah.
So it shouldn't feel bad if they say you didn't give your best.
Well, like it's someone's opinion of it. It doesn't, if someone says you didn't give your best, like, ask yourself in your heart, did you really give your best? Your best being
no. No.
Well,
It's like, okay, like I'm talking with you since yesterday. I have to submit it tomorrow. It's like, okay, Katie, did you give your best? Like, oh yeah, I was talking with a guy, American guy of South Africa. He told me I have to give my best. When did he told it you? Oh, 2 days before submitting, and then I was really giving my best. Like, and I had 16 weeks time for that.
Your best is what you gave at the time, you see. So whatever you did was the best you could do at the time. So that's,
yeah, I have to be
everyone
honest.
does give their best at the time. Okay, now maybe you could go, well, if I did it again, I could do it differently, but it's done. So like you've got another 12 hours or whatever it is, or 24 hours where you submit it. So you just go, okay, I'm going to get into flow. Ask the Holy Spirit for guidance to say, I'm going to get into flow with this and just be really present to every word, every sentence I type. If you're reviewing it and just be like, okay, I'm just in the flow and the Spirit's taking care of it. You hand it over. So we'll do a little meditation where you can do that. And that, that is your best. And then you just submit it and leave it. Okay, well, that's the best I could give, and the outcome will be what it will be. And if they don't give you your masters, then that's the outcome that it will be. So be it. And it doesn't really matter, because what someone else thinks of your work doesn't really matter in the end. The only thing that matters is your connection to spirit and source. And then maybe that's part of the lesson of, okay, we'll just let go of that. And you've done it. It's been useful to go down the path of formal education, but
that's right.
Now it's time. It's time. You've got A Course in Miracles, which is truth, and you don't have to write a thesis on it. It's just study it and learn it. That this is what it's about, and no professor is going to grade you on it. It's just the truth as you understand it, and to live it. And David Hoffmeister felt that call, and he just walked away from academia because it was like, this path isn't for me anymore. I feel this deep calling to live the truth and teach the truth, and dedicate my life to it. And Jesus said to him, "You're not going to have a career." He's like, "Okay." I'm 28. I'm not going to have a career. Okay. So what am I going to do then? He says, "Don't worry, leave it to me." And then he just shows him his whole life, and his life's just been this, unfolding from one thing to another, of deepening into his experience of A Course in Miracles, and becoming a teacher that he is, amazing teacher, and building a community. And so, he has kind of had a career, I suppose. He's a spiritual teacher, and he's founded the Living Miracles organization and built a community, and he's impacted many, many people's lives.
Hey, this is amazing. And what you brought up for me is, and that's also what I was pondering on, like, so in the world, it's people get tasks like doing this master thesis, and it's like sometimes you try to just bend the rules. So and I thought, like, I didn't felt happy with it. I was like, how can I? So it's so every rule I see, which is about the master thesis and everything in the world, it's like you can bend it, and if you can bend it, it's not a law of God. And the cool thing about Course in Miracles is, it's like when I'm doing it right, I experience that it works, and I can't cheat on it. That's the thing I like about, like, when I'm doing writing master thesis, sometimes I can cheat, like, oh, I didn't understand what I just read. Oh, then I just don't take the word. Then I just leave that sentence, just delete it. Then I don't have to explain it. Things like that. When I'm doing A Course in Miracles, it's like, if you don't do forgiveness, you won't experience a miracle. That's it. There's no cheating.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll get exactly the experience that you deserve. Yeah, you get exactly that experience, and no more, no less. So
yeah, that's it.
It's up to you. It's up to you what experience do you want, and
it's universal. Also, it's universal. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
it is. So we'll do a meditation to maybe just help you to let it go. Did you see Iona's miracle? That was nice. Did you read her post
No, I didn't.
in the group? Just this morning she posted actually really early morning. It would have been like 1 o'clock in the morning or something your time. She posted about her experience yesterday. So remember, she was saying, "Well, I've got that meeting, and whatever." And so yeah, she had a miracle. It was a really good meeting, and she just gave it away. She said, "Look, I'm not going to ask for financial compensation." And the lady who took the print was very grateful, and she said, "Well, I'm going to show it to all my clients, and maybe some of them will want to buy it, and so she might get financial reward through that, but and I'm sure she will, but she had to let go of the energy of, oh, I feel like I've been unfairly treated and I need financial compensation for this." And she said she just felt, well, let me show it actually. So if you check the group, ALG Club members group, you'll see it on there. So she posted it there we go. Oh, so there's I want to share what happened today. The context of the situation that developed a year ago. Someone really wanted a print of a painting of mine. Her partner, a professional photographer, suggested that he take a really high quality image of it that I could then use. Did so, sent me the file. Was feeling uncertain, felt I'd given away my power in the shape of the gift to my image. Panicked and sent the image to a printer I'd used for years, and the resultant image was terrible, unusable. I paid off the terrible printer, retreated in fear, anger, and shame from the whole situation. Did not speak to the printer. I think she means the painter, actually. The painter or his partner for a full year, until last week when they got back in touch, asking for the dimensions of the original work and to start the whole scenario off again. I was horrified and told them I wanted to be paid for the image. They protested and I suggested a face-to-face meeting, which was today. My friend agreed to hold a neutral space for us and we met. I just had an hour's meditation, spiritual discussions. That was what we did yesterday afternoon. Knew that I was ready to hand it over to pure formless awareness, all of it, the sourness, the bitter feelings, resentment, and fear. I asked the Holy Spirit to guide me. I was aware of my body's reaction to being with these two people who had a strong emotional charge, but I kept calm and listening for guidance. When it was my turn to speak, I felt such joy in speaking my truth, of letting go of my financial desire and allow in instead the overwhelming desire for them to have the print, which I would proudly sign and which she would delight in and show her many clients. Of course, I could then see that letting go my initial desire for compensation was now going to open up abundant possibilities for me. I feel light and released. And she joined last night, and you could kind of see that. It was like a letting go. So yeah, a nice little miracle story there from Iona. So let's have a quick look at the quote. Can you read that for us?
Yeah, I think I have a miracle too, and it's like, can you just share it?
Yeah, you share.
So I was going into my mind, and I didn't. Yeah, just what happened? Yeah, when I'm feeling shift in perception, I see sometimes pictures in my mind. So I saw how I was professors were in front of me and just put the papers up the pieces to their feet, and that it's only like I only want to look at you both and kind of connect with them. I didn't remember if I take their hands on my vision, but in the picture I had in my mind, and they said, yes, it's about now you finally got it. We didn't attack you. Yeah, actually, free Katie, you didn't do anything. You are doing this to yourself.
Yeah, well, that's a little inspiration from the Holy Spirit. Sounds like inspired vision of how it actually is, and maybe it's a little premonition. Who knows? comes to pass in the dream.
Like it's about connecting with them and don't having any expectations. Like they will do their best. I can trust in them that they are, and that's this feeling really opens my heart. Yeah, I know. I mean, they're really good professors. They're nice and they are supporting.
Yeah.
I
They
can
don't, they
trust
don't, they don't
like
want you to fail. They want you to succeed. So, obviously they have to be fair, somewhat fair and objective, but that's, I'm sure there will be. And whatever the outcome is, it's going to be the right outcome, because in the end, you can let go. If there's no attachment to the outcome, then it doesn't matter.
in the end, I can let go.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the outcome is, because whether you pass or you fail or whatever grade you get, it's all part of the illusory construct. So that doesn't define you. Kati is not a master's student or a master's graduate. That's not who you are. That was an experience you had. Could be helpful. It's helpful if you choose to use it to let go. So if on the level of form the outcome isn't what you wanted, then that's the real lesson is, okay, well, you did all of this so that you could learn to let go and not attach to that.
Yeah.
That's the only lesson. Then if you learn that lesson, then it's a great lesson. It's a lesson in letting go. And sometimes letting go of something is a lot more valuable than the whole studying experience. I studied for 4 years, doing a business degree, and then I had to let it go. I was the end of my degree, and I was going to go on the sort of path. If I just carried on, was to carry on doing an honors, and it was accounting. So it was like the graduate diploma in accounting, and sorry, I'd done my honors. So it was a 4 years. I got honors, and then it was to go into this accounting thing and do articles. It was just like, I was like, no, you know what? I don't want to do that. It just doesn't resonate with me at all. I'm feeling a sinking in my heart. I have this calling to go and play squash. That's my joy and my passion. So that's what I want to do, and I did. I was like, okay, I can't put myself in prison. And so, one of the possibly the major benefit of my degree was to eventually let it go. It's okay. This was kind of my first major letting go experience in life. Because I'd gone I was a good student and I'd got A's at school, and so I went down the conventional path, and then at 21 or whatever it was, I had to let go of that and say, okay, I'm taking a different path there. This is now, I'm on the road less traveled, because I haven't chosen to go the conventional way that society wants me to go, because I'm dropping out of this, and I'm not going to get this qualification, and I'm not going to do my articles, and I'm not going to get the salary, and there's a whole path that unfolds, depending on your choice, isn't it? It was definitely a fork in the road. And I remember actually the day so clearly, because it was, as I said, I didn't really understand the stuff as fully now then as I do now, but there's definitely a sense of release. I went and I had to give them a letter. It was days before email. So I had to actually go and post them a letter saying, look, I'm not going to take up my place in this GDA, this graduate diploma in accounting. So I remember walking up and I was like, right. And I just paused for a moment before I let that letter go. I was like, okay, take a deep breath. Here we go. This is like, I knew the moment I literally let go, I had to let the letter go into the post box. The moment that happened, that it was like, okay, that was another fork in the road I'd taken. And I just went, and I felt like, okay, I knew that something in that moment, something significant had happened. It was like a shift. I'd just taken a step down another pathway, and it was an uncertain one. There was no certainty of what would happen, and so there was a little bit of trepidation, a little bit of that anxiety of, well, what's going to happen. But there was also a knowing that this is right. And I need to follow this way because I'm honoring my heart. And yes, the rest is that history. That choice has defined my life subsequent.
Honor my heart.
Choice took me in a very different direction in my life, and I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. Maybe I would be, but the path is unfolded as a result of that single choice. So you come to these junctures in your life where you have these choices, and then it's like, okay, one way or another, and I can't take both ways. I have to let go of the one in order to take the other path. There's a fork in the road, and the roads are going in opposite directions. You must choose. You can't take both. And so maybe you're coming to a kind of crossroads, and you're like, okay, well, I'm letting that go. I'm letting that path go, and I'm opening to something else. And that's maybe more uncertain, but the spirit is guiding me on that. So I'm open. I'm going to surrender and let it take me where it will take me. So you're not alone in these experiences, and the principle is always the same: letting go. Letting go is what it becomes about. Okay, so let's have a little look at the lesson. Do you want to read that from Eckhart Tolle?
Yeah, I can do that. Give me a second. The realm of consciousness is much vaster than thought can grasp. When you no longer believe everything you think, you step out of thought and see clearly that the thinker is not who you really are.
Which is leads nicely into today's lesson. And I don't know if you read this, but we had an interesting conversation about consciousness yesterday. Because John asked me, well, what is? He asked me about these first two lines, which were in section 2 of chapter 1. Consciousness is the state that induces action, though it does not inspire it. Consciousness, the level of perception, was the first split introduced into the mind after the separation, making the mind a perceiver rather than a creator. So what he's talking about is this, to use our diagram, consciousness actually sits here. So I must update this and put consciousness in. Consciousness, ego, universal mind, Satan, whatever you want to call it. It's the first split. It's the idea that there's some separate will, some separate consciousness from perfect love or oneness. And this is the domain of the ego, as Jesus is defining it. Correctly identified as the domain of the ego. Consciousness is the receptive mechanism, receiving messages from above or below, from the Holy Spirit or the ego. It has levels, and awareness can shift. Awareness can shift quite dramatically, but it cannot transcend the perceptual realm. So, good illustration of the levels is you see this. You go to David Hawkins' scale. There's your levels, right? Levels of consciousness. So that's not spirit. That's because it has levels, and the shifting and changing between the levels. At one moment I can be in a state of courage, then I can drop down into pride or anger. I can experience states of joy, but I can bounce up and down the scale. So all of that is not permanent and eternal. So therefore it's part of this illusory domain of perception, which consciousness is like the framework for perception. So it cannot transcend the perceptual realm. Right? So we cannot, at the highest level, this is what it, pure consciousness, David Hawkins calls it. Pure consciousness, which is ineffable, this is enlightenment. at this highest level, this now transcends into God, pure formless awareness. So as Jesus defines consciousness, consciousness is not the same as spirit. There's still a sense of being a separate self here. But it leads to, you can learn and you can grow and you can go up this ladder, and it leads to the point where there's no ego. Eventually the ego is undone. God takes the final step, means that pure formless awareness simply comes wholly and completely into your mind. Arises in your mind, it becomes you, you become it, you merge with it, and there's nothing else. And all idea of any separate consciousness and all the levels and the shift and the change and all this just drops away and simply doesn't exist anymore. So that's where the teaching is coming from. So at its highest, it becomes aware of the real world, can be trained to do so increasingly. The very fact that it has levels and can be trained demonstrates that it cannot reach knowledge. Okay, so you can become aware of the real world in these higher states. You would see the world as peaceful. Your life view would be perfect, complete. That there's meaning. You see all these sort of positive states.
I need to go in 24 minutes. Just want to tell it you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's swiftly move on to the lesson, and then we'll do a meditation to close out. So if you want to read the key idea.
Yeah. These thoughts do not mean anything. They are like the things I see in this room, on the street, from this window, in this place. And
these thoughts do not mean anything.
hmm.
So you can apply that to any thought that's stressing you. So for instance, your situation with the thesis is simply these thoughts do not mean anything. These thoughts about my thesis, about the professors, about whatever relates to that. Well, will I pass? Will I fail? My thoughts about the future. Or what's that going to lead me to in future? All of that does not mean anything.
This is about purification.
Hmm.
And I then I have to, after some time, I think I have to be very attentive. Like, okay, if this didn't mean anything, I can just resist against anything. No, so this thought about resistance also means anything.
Yeah, my resistance doesn't mean anything. My anxiety doesn't mean anything. This thought does not mean anything because the thought is the same as the things you see in this room. So we've just done
it's an object.
3 exercises on perception of the world. You don't understand anything. Nothing you see means anything. Given everything you see, all the meaning it has for you. And they're like the things I see in this room, right? It's all within the domain of the ego. Once you go and once you do the split, to go back to our diagram, once you split your mind and you go into this domain of consciousness, and all of this starts to kick off, and you go down the ladder of separation, and we've covered this in a previous session, then you're now in illusion, because that first thought of separation is false. So it doesn't mean anything. Anything, if it's false, anything that comes from what's false doesn't mean anything. This is the teaching.
Oh, do you know, just when I heard it, like, okay, so if I just let go of all the thoughts, it would be like, then I see what's behind it, or what was there all the time. And I got this picture in my mind of this painting where I think it's from Michelangelo. Is it Michelangelo? He made the sculpture David.
He did.
And then he also this painting where, like, on one side it's like a picture, like he has a man and he's representing God, and then the other side there is like the son of God, and then they are doing like their fingers
on the Sistine Chapel. Yes.
Yeah.
Touching. So you got that. You got that image of that's a symbol of the Father and the Son joining.
Yeah, I got that symbol and I thought about, oh, so if I just let go of it, then I will, like, letting go of the thoughts, and there I can see a different experience a different realm, and then I was like, yeah, and then the fingers come close.
No, and you touch God, and in the end you become that, because it's a presence. It's just an awareness. That awareness becomes your awareness. So
Yeah,
you
that's
are
it.
a whole awareness of God. God gives himself in coarse language totally to you, means that pure formless awareness becomes your awareness. And that's your only awareness. There is nothing else.
That reminds me of the song of prayer. The father is singing a song to his son, and the son is like singing it to God.
Yeah, because it's the same awareness.
Yeah.
When your awareness is that awareness, then that's the mystical union of the Father and the Son, because you are that awareness now, and that's your only awareness. And so our only job is to stay in that awareness and let go of the thoughts that take us out of that awareness. So these thoughts do not mean anything. Okay, then. Wow, it's quite a statement. Like, so whatever I'm thinking doesn't mean anything. Wow. But I'm so invested in my thoughts. I thought that my thoughts really mean something. My whole life I've thought my thoughts mean something, that they're important. And when you're saying no, none of them mean anything. So he says, if you're already aware of unhappy thoughts, use them as subjects for the idea. But don't just select the thoughts you think are bad, because you'll find that if you train yourself,
Pain and pleasure.
they represent a mixture. In a sense,
Yeah.
none of them can be called good or bad. This is why they do not mean anything. So you say, well, that's a good thought. That's what I want, and that's what I don't want. But actually, it's all happening within an illusory domain.
It's like the joy. It's like the joy I'm experiencing right now is not the real joy.
Yeah, there's a deeper, real joy comes when you really let go of any meaning, and you're in that empty, pure formless awareness, just empty. It's empty space, spacious awareness. You're not thinking in the sense of the world. You're not thinking subject, object thoughts. I'm now thinking about some person. When you think about what you think about most of the time, you think about people, think about places, objects, events in your life, past, future. This is what preoccupies our minds. And that all just covers this pure formless awareness that simply is. You can't say it just is what it is. And there's no need to think those kinds of thoughts in pure formless awareness. It's just pure pristine awareness, complete unto itself. And subject, object, dualistic thoughts don't come into it. They don't exist there. So they don't mean anything. Any of those kinds of thoughts don't ultimately mean anything. So again, it's a major lesson, as he says. This is a major exercise and be repeated from time to time in somewhat different form. So the aim is to train your mind to separate the meaningless from the meaningful. So the first attempt, the long-range purpose of learning to see the meaningless as outside you and the meaningful within. Okay, so what's outside of you, your thesis and professors and the university, whatever anyone else thinks, doesn't matter. It's meaningless. It's a domain that's meaningless. And so you're beginning to learn, okay, what's meaningless and what's meaningful. And then he's asking you to apply it to specific thoughts. This thought about whatever does not mean anything. So I can guide you through this, if you like, guide you through a little meditation. Okay. So just make yourself comfortable. Sitting comfortably, feet shoulder width apart. Sitting comfortably, feet shoulder width apart. Just keep your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. The breathing in, noticing how stomach rises, chest rises, clench the sphincter muscle, the muscle used to track the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops out. Lock the energy in. Like you're drawing it up the spine into your heart center. You can put one hand on your heart. And draw it up into the crown of your head. And just pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile. And just scan your mind. Notice any thoughts. Identify each thought by the central figure or event that it contains. So, for example, this thought about whatever or whoever. This thought about my thesis. This thought about professors does not mean anything. It's like the things I think I see in this room. And have a sense of letting go of your attachment. Okay, it's just a mental and emotional investment in these thoughts. So blow it away as you exhale. Just letting it go with the breeze of your breath. To the nothingness that it really is. And just letting the breath subside. Pull the stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. Yeah, just rest here for a few moments in calm, still emptiness. Feel the peace that comes when you let go of your thoughts. So breathing in again. Nice deep inhale breath, filling the lungs maximally. Again, just scan your mind. Noticing any thoughts, any emotions. Thought and emotion really go hand in hand. Often thought leads to emotion. So that's a feeling in your body. Notice the sensation in the body. Notice thought and emotion and sensation. It's all connected. It's all one movement of the mind. You notice any uncomfortable feelings, sensations, and just observe them dispassionately. These are just clouds. They're a cover, a veil over the truth of your pure formless awareness. So once again, say this thought about whatever it is or whoever it is does not mean anything. It's like the things I think I see in this room. You can briefly open your eyes and look around the room. It's like the things I think I see. They are of the same order of reality. My thoughts and the things I see, my thoughts and my perceptions make up one reality, seeming reality. But this does not mean anything. None of it means anything. So exhale on the truth of that. Just release. To the nothingness that really is, and just letting go. Letting go of all attachment. And sinking into this place beyond thought. The ego tells you that this is scary, that you need to keep thinking. The idea expressed by Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am, makes thought into the primary source of your identity. But as Eckhart Tolle says, this is not true. Thought is a realm much greater than thought. The realm of consciousness is much vaster than thought can grasp. You no longer believe everything you think. You step out of thought and see clearly that the thinker is not who you really are. So step out of thought for a few minutes of deep silence. Just observe your breath, breathing in and out through the nose. Notice the subtle sensations, the breath, the stomach rising and the chest rising, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils and out through the nostrils. Notice the touch of the breath on the tip of your nose, in the area below your nose, between your nose and your upper lip. And so all of this just brings your mind into the present moment and stops the mind. So there's nothing to think about in the present moment. There's just pure, formless awareness arising in your mind and your heart. So surrender to this experience. And these thoughts do not mean anything. They are like the things I think I see in this room, in this world. And let that raise you up above the battleground, above the cloud patterns, into the clear blue sky of your own pure formless awareness. Let the light of your source shine through that awareness. Sink into this experience deeper and deeper. And the next 2 minutes of deep silence. And so any thoughts arising, just observe them casually. They're like clouds just drifting by in your awareness. You don't have to attach to them. Just let them go by using today's idea. Just say this thought about whatever it is. does not mean anything. It is like the things I see in this room. You blow it away with the breeze of your breath. It's clearing your mind, opening to this pure formless awareness, the blue sky, the eternal nature of awareness that is you. Opening your mind to that for another minute of deep contemplative silence. And so just gently coming back into an awareness of your body and the breath, the senses and the world. On the count of 3, open your eyes. So 1, breathing in, noticing the stomach rise and the chest rise, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Breathing in a maximal inhale breath. To your heart center. Just noticing the sensations in the body as you do this. Scan your mind again, just notice any thoughts and apply the idea one more time. Say this thought about whatever or whoever, whatever it is, does not mean anything. It's like the things I see in this room. And so you can open your eyes, exhale. Just notice what you're seeing, look around, remind yourself your thoughts and what you see, the body's eyes, and what you're hearing. Notice what you're hearing on the count of 2, and tasting and touching and smelling, whatever you perceive does not mean anything. The thoughts that are behind your perceptions do not mean anything. Because this whole domain, based on an idea of separation, does not mean anything. This is the central teaching. This is a major exercise, as Jesus says. Repeated from time to time in somewhat different form. Training yourself here. The first steps toward the goal of separating the meaningless from the meaningful. Recognizing what is true and what is illusion, in other words.
Truth from falsehood. That's the title of a book of David Hawkins. Difference between that.
Power versus force.
Oh, it's also a book. The name is Truth versus Falsehood.
Truth versus falsehood. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the dichotomy. These exercises are designed to help you to see that difference experientially, not just as an intellectual theoretical exercise, but as in your own awareness. Okay, so these thoughts that I'm thinking right now are false. they're false, they have no meaning. Therefore, I can let them go. And the logic is very simple. But it's in the application of these ideas to these exercises that you start to really learn the theory experientially and start to determine the difference between what is truth and what is illusion. And that's why these exercises are so important. Because they train your mind to recognize what's true, what's the same, and what is different. So yeah, any other thoughts on that?
No.
Okay, so Jesus recommends practicing it 3 or 4 times today. So you've done one. So I don't know if you did one this morning, but try and practice it again this evening once or twice. I'm going to send you another breath break recording after this, so you can just listen to that. 5 minutes to guide you through it, or you can practice it on your own. Just take a minute or two and go within, close your eyes, say this thought about, scan your mind, this thought about whatever does not mean anything. And if you're struggling with this issue, the thesis, and there's thoughts coming up, then apply the idea to those thoughts. And then second part, you can open your eyes and then look around the room. So it's like the things I see in this room. And so you're making the connection between what you're seeing with your body's eyes and your thoughts. They are not independent and separate. So yeah, I wish you good practicing, and good luck with the thesis. I imagine you're not going to join us tonight because you're going to be busy working. So
I guess, but maybe I do, because this is here exciting. I tried to.
Okay.
I tried to. I was yesterday having a call. It was like, because I had this healing energy boost session, and I felt so high, and I was like, oh, I didn't want to think, but I would like to talk about a Costa Rica. And I was calling a Costa Rica student, and we were talking till like 2 or 3 hours. And then I went to bed at 1 a.m. was like, I couldn't stop it.
Well, we're going to do a 2 or 3 hour session tonight, so join us, and we can have a chat about whatever. And it's nice to get other people's take on it. You get other people's experiences, like Iona shared her experience last night. That's really nice.
Yeah, it seems like the people are joining the evening sessions more often.
Yeah, I think maybe people work in the day. Although Sue and John are retired, Iona's an artist, so she works for herself. But in the day, people have commitments. So that's one of the reasons why I do 2 sessions. So we can cover the material as well. Just not enough time to do it in one long evening session would be a long time. So
I'm looking forward. I think I joined tonight.
Okay. All right. Join us 7:30. See you later. Thank you, Kati.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Namaste. Bye-bye.
Namaste.